Hey guys, it's Joel and welcome back to the channel and to another lockdown video on my driveway where sadly we can't be out driving my car today, but we can certainly sit in it and talk about it. Anyway, today I want to talk to you about the monthly sort of running costs associated with my 2004 BMW Z4. Back in November of 2019, seems like forever ago now, I did a video talking about the total amount of money that I've spent on my car in terms of maintenance, servicing, repairs, and that was kind of interesting. So if you'd like to see that, you can click in the sort of top right hand corner of the screen there right now, or you can wait till the end of the video and then click the link in the description to that video. But today I'm covering my sort of everyday monthly running costs, you know, costs that are associated with any car that you will purchase. And I did actually ask you guys on Instagram to send me some suggestions for other sort of categories of things to talk about, so thank you for that. But yes, I'm breaking it down into 5 categories today: insurance, tax, oil, fuel and tyres. They're in no particular cost order, actually. I've just reeled them off in any order. And yeah, I thought, yeah, it might be quite interesting for you guys to know sort of exactly what I spend a month, and actually for me to know as well. Lastly, if you're one of my 80% of viewers or so that are not subscribed still to this channel, then well, join the community now guys, and please help out this channel by hitting that big red button below this video. I will wait and give you some time to do that now. So let's start with insurance. Now, insurance is always a tricky one. It's something I have talked about before, and it's a question that comes up a lot, given that I'm a relatively young, I'm 23. I mean, I was a bit younger when I bought this car, I was 20, and now I feel kind of old, but I guess I'm still a relatively young guy to be driving a Z4, so it's a question that comes up a lot from viewers of the channel or people on Instagram that maybe want a car like this for themselves, who are also quite young. They want to know how much insurance costs, but obviously there's loads of variables, like anything from where you live, who your family are, what your job is, where you park your car, all sorts. I mean, there's literally, the day of the week you start your policy can change the price drastically. But I'll tell you exactly what I pay. So my insurance is about £1,000 a year. And that is, it's actually a little bit less, but I pay monthly, so you pay a slight premium. I think I pay about £85 a month, which if you times that by 12 is £970, I think, if I've done the maths correctly there in my head. No, it's not, it's 1,020. So yeah, it's about £1,000 a year, nice and easy to work out. Obviously, as I said, there's tons of variables. I won't tell you my address, but I live relatively near London, and I actually have 6 points on my license, which is another factor. To be honest, when I got the 6 points, it was around the renewal time, and instead of my insurance going up, it actually just stayed the same. So I think had I not had the 6 points, my insurance might be a couple of £100 cheaper. I don't know, but when I actually declared the points, my insurance still got about £10 cheaper, but just not, you know, not as much as a drop as you might expect. So what else? Yeah, I've had my license since 17. I've actually got 6 years, no claims, which I actually don't think makes a world of difference, to be honest. I wouldn't stress about that. But yeah, anyway, that's me. I'm 23, 6 points on my license, annoyingly, and 6 years, no claims. The points on my license were just stupid motorway speeding ones, if you're interested. So yeah, insurance, £1,000 a year, £1,020 a year, which works out, I think for me, at about £85 per month. Fairly manageable. So the tax is the next thing I was going to mention. You don't really need to hear about this from me, because you can just go online and see how much the tax is on one of these cars. Some cars, different years, different models have different tax bands because of regulations and stuff. As far as I'm aware, the Z4s are the same, the 3 litres at least. My tax, I think, is £320 a year. Again, I pay that monthly to the DVLA. I just prefer to do it that way, and I think if I look at my bank account, it's about £29 a month goes on tax. So yeah, that works out roughly at about £320. And yeah, so far £85 for insurance, about £30 for tax, but about £115 a month. So realistically, insurance and tax, they're the 2 things in the UK at least that legally mean you can just have a car. So if I just left the car sitting on the driveway, like I am now actually, this car essentially cost me £115 per month to just have. So we'll move on now to actually the biggest expense, and again, Lots of variables here, the main one being how much you drive, the second main one being probably how you drive. It is fuel cost. So for me, this is by far the most expensive thing for me. I do anywhere between 1,000 to 2,000 miles per month. 2,000 very rarely. I think the first couple of years I had this car, I did just around 20,000 miles. That works out at about 1,800 miles per month. And actually in the last year, although I've not been driving a lot in the last month, it's only been about 12,000 miles, which would be 1,000 miles a month. So let's go off 1,500 miles per month. For me, I get around, I've written it down here, about 360 miles on a full tank. If that's based on sort of my average. Let's say I do 4 tanks a month. Well, a full tank in this car is about 70 quid. 55 litres the tank is, and in the UK at the moment, or well, not at the moment actually, it's got a lot cheaper, but I'm not driving. The super unleaded I use Tesco Momentum. Say what you like about it, but it's good. I get my club card points. It's normally around 130 a litre, so yeah, 55 litres, it works out roughly about 75 quid maybe. So based on that, we're looking at around 280, 300 pounds per month on fuel, based on 1,500 miles a month. Often it's less, often it's a lot more, because I have to drive around the country or to airports and stuff for work. So that varies massively month to month, but yeah, over like the last year, it was, well, over the 3 years I've had this car, I've done about 50,000 miles, so around 17,000 miles a year on average. Just a note on MPG, I've mentioned a couple of times that I can get 40 plus miles per gallon in this car, and so many people say, how on earth do you do that? I can't even get above 30. Now, I genuinely think the reason for this is all because of how you drive. So I do have a lot of tips on that. I'm not trying to claim to be a professional driver that knows what he's doing better than anyone else, but I do have a lot of tips for economical driving. So maybe if that's a video you guys would like to see in the future when I can drive the car again, and I can go on a run and show you literally how I get 42, 43 miles per gallon in this car, let me know if you find that interesting, because there are actually some obvious things to me that lots of people just don't do when they're driving, and it saves you so much fuel. So let me know if you'd like to see that. But yeah, I mean, actually, on average, I get around 30 mpg. If I looked at my long-term average now, it would be around 30. And I'd say over a whole year, because a lot of the time I'll just get out in the car and drive like a hooligan and get 20 miles per gallon. But when I'm traveling for work, etc., I might get 40. So it averages around 30 a year, 30 mpg. It averages around. So yeah, based on that is how I get 360 miles per tank. It's about a 12 gallon tank, so that's simple maths. So yeah, that's the fuel one. It's actually quite expensive, but varies, you know, based on loads of factors, and my cost will be completely different to yours. But at least if you're in the UK, you might find that quite interesting. And of course, if you don't know, this is my daily car, my only car currently. So this is, yeah, all I have to drive at the moment. Next cost then, tyres. Another one that's variable based on how you drive, what you like to do with your car. I don't preserve my tyres, let's put it that way. Well, actually on the way to my gym, which in normal times, normal circumstances, I'll drive to maybe 4 or 5 evenings a week. I train quite late, which means the roads are pretty empty. There's a fantastic roundabout on my route, so most evenings, excuse me, traction control is off, and I'm having a little go around that roundabout. But anyway, tyres, of course, you know, they're based on which tyres you go for and how you drive the car. I was thinking, well, I was looking through some receipts and stuff. Since I've had this car for 3 years, it's not as bad as I thought. For 3 years, I've only bought tyres 4 times. So the first time I bought tyres, when I got the car about 3 years ago, I bought Goodyear Eagle F1 asymmetric 3s. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on today. They were the latest Goodyears at the time, and that cost 320 quid to have those all round. So I had those, and then subsequently I changed the rear tyres, not the fronts, twice. So I've had budgets on the rears twice, and the reason for that, as I've spoken before, is because I like to slide the car, and I just didn't really see the point in getting nice Goodyears on the back if they're only going to last 6 months, if you know what I mean. So I've had Goodyears, which are 320 quid. Then I've had budgets, which are about 60 quid a corner, I think. and I've done that twice. So 4 times 60, 240 quid. So what's that up to now? £560. And then recently, as you will have seen, I've just had Michelin Pilot Sport 4s all around the car at a cost of just under 400 quid. So £960 over the time I've owned the car. Let's call it a grand. That means over 3 years, 330 quid per year, which is about, what, 30, 28, 25, 25, 20, I can't do the maths in my head. Around 30, between 25 and 30 quid a month on tyres, which is not as bad as I thought actually. For some reason I thought maybe it'd be a lot more than that. It's going to go up a little bit now that the rear tyres are wider. But yeah, about 25, 30 quid a month based on the amount of miles I've done actually and the way I drive this car. I think that's not bad at all. The Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, by the way, I've done a few runs to the shop during this lockdown, and I have got some opinions on them which I would like to share, but that will have to wait until I can, actually go out, film with the car and do a proper driving review. So I'm really excited to share my thoughts on the Michelins with you guys, and a few of you have been asking how they perform. So yeah, sadly we'll have to wait for that, you and I both, until I can do a proper review with the tyres. But I do very much look forward to the day I can. Right, last cost is oil. And this is one I wasn't actually going to include until many of you on Instagram said, do oil, do oil. I did a video on this exact topic before, and in that one I said that I used a litre of oil every 1,000 miles. And I don't think I'd calculated it quite right in that video, because that is a really excessive amount of oil. I don't think it's far off that though. I think probably a litre every 1,500, 2,000 miles, because I worked out that I probably go through 2 4-litre boxes of oil a year. Now, say what you will, whether my car's drinking oil more than it should. I know that my car has got a slight oil leak. Some people might have got that fixed immediately, but my garage said it's not an issue. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, oil. I buy the Castrol 0W30 oil. I'll put a link to it on Amazon in the description so you can check that one out. And it's about 40 quid, I think, for 4 litres, so 10 quid a litre. Yeah, 40 quid or so for 4 litres, and I probably get 2 of them a year. It's actually quite hard to work out because me and my dad, obviously, he's got a Z4 as well, so we sort of share the oil. So we probably buy more cases of it, but I actually can't think what I put in this car every year. That obviously doesn't include a service where all the oil comes out and goes in, but that's separate cost. So anyway, oil, yeah, about 80 quid a year, based on them being 40 quid a unit. So again, there's a monthly cost. That's like what, £6.50 a month, which is basically nothing. So not really a massive expense. So I guess if you're like looking at buying one of these cars, this could be interesting, because one of the things you might think is, oh my goodness, like how much is the oil going to cost me? But £6 quid a month, nothing really. Any car needs oil, any car needs petrol, any car needs tyres, any car needs tax and insurance. So we had insurance, which I said was about £85 per month. Then we had tax, which was around 28, we called it 30. So we're at £115 per month. My fuel is £200 to £300 a month, it's hard to say. Let's go with 250. So that brings it up to £365 per month. Tyres over the years, I've spent about £1,000 over 3 years. About 330 quid a year, so around what, 25, 20, probably like 30. I'm really struggling to see them. It's like £27.50, isn't it? But let's call it 20, let's call it 30. Let's call it 30 quid a month on tyres. So that brings us up to £395. And then oil, which we said was about 6 quid a month, but brings us up to around 400. So I guess the headline figure is then £400 a month is what I spend on this car, which actually is quite a lot of money when you think about it. That's £4,800 a year, which is like a fairly decent chunk of my salary actually. So it does show and demonstrate how much I sort of love driving, I suppose. Although some of that money when I'm travelling for work is expense back to me or whatever. That obviously the 400 quid a month isn't what goes out of my bank account necessarily directly on me driving this car. But that gives you an idea of the sort of cost it is to run this car. But imagine you drove half as much as I did, that cost would go down to like 300 straight away. So There's lots of variables there. Many of you will have much cheaper insurance. I'm sure my insurance will go down actually next year because no more points have been gained, thankfully, and I plan not on getting any more points at all. So yeah, but I think is that interesting? I hope it is. I enjoy making videos, of course, and I really want to keep making videos during this whole situation. And I know you guys like the Z4 content, so I want to keep it about that a lot. But I also want to try lots of new things too. I could sit here and ramble, guys, forever, because I'm not going to lie, going a bit crazy sitting in the house all day. But what can you do? But anyway, in terms of this video, I hope you found that insightful in some way into sort of how much I spend a month on the car. I certainly have, actually. I've never really thought about it like as a monthly cost. And then a yearly cost, actually. It's £5 a year, essentially, is what I'm spending on running this car before maintenance and servicing, etc. So it's a lot of money, actually. But I think if you weighed that up with any other car, it's not too bad. And actually, some of the cars I'm looking at getting next, £5 might seem like nothing. But yeah, that's enough waffle from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you very, very soon.